Hey there, fellow comic fans. As always, I'm Scott Harris King, creator of the Crime Busters, Cthulhu vs. Uncle Sam, and Quest. And today I'm really excited to be joined by another indie comics creator. It's Corissa Grant from Worthy Comics. Corissa, thanks very much for joining me. How are you today?
Good. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure. I always like talking to other indie creators. I love the indie comics community. Um, and I know that you have been putting out quite a few comics recently. So I have a lot of questions about Worthy Chaos and all your comics and your whole journey. But why don't we just start with what your current comic project is?
So right now, we are on issue 5 of a 7-issue arc, and our two main characters, Seraphina, who is an angel descendant, and Draven, who's a demon descendant, they're trapped in a town merging with hell, and they can't get out. It's kind of like Silent Hill. The roads are gone, and the creatures are coming through from hell. So you have zombies and vampires and hellhounds, and we had a zombie merman, Anubis from the underworld, and all that stuff. Angels and demons and all that. This issue in particular is them discovering and fighting with our version of vampires. We call them a subspecies. We call them clotters. Their heart beats every 6 hours, which is just enough to keep off rigor mortis, because it kind of always bothered me that vampires bled when you cut them, but they had no heartbeat. So ours has a heartbeat, but it makes their blood thicker, and they're stronger, faster, and they have this ability that when they taste your blood or bite into you, they can actually track you wherever you go. Anyone in the family can. And if you kill one of them, they will track you down for revenge, and there's really nothing you can do about it. So that happens, and now they have to go and fight and find every single vampire in the family so that they don't come after them.
Okay, and now the series is called Redemption. Is that right?
Yeah, so Worthy Chaos is pretty much the brand, I guess you want to say. And there's three series, but this is our first one we're releasing. We have Redemption, which has about 45 issues already written for series 1. And then we have Salvation, which has 40 issues already written. And then we have a prequel called Damnation, which is, I think, 5 issues written already. But that's probably going to wind up being 5 books, because pretty much they're all 5 books. And we've been doing this for about 7 months, and still don't know what the hell we're doing. But my artist is amazing. He's this is his first paid job, so we're kind of figuring it all out together. And we release every other month. We don't know if we can keep that pace, because I don't know if my fans can afford it. So we're trying. We're releasing this month, and we're releasing issue 6, which is already done, August 15th, and then issue 7, which is the last one in the series, and the graphic novel will be releasing in October.
Okay, great. Well, I love the scope. You know, I like to think on like big grand epics myself, and that's the kind of stuff I like to read as well. So, my series, The Crime Busters, I'm just about to do the trade to collect the first 5 issues, but I have 30 issues planned for this storyline, and I've got my new series Quest, which the first arc is going to be 12 issues, but I've got ideas for all these future ones. So I like to do things on a big scale as well. So I think that's really cool. Now you mentioned a couple follow-up questions for you, because you mentioned your artist. What was the artist's name again?
So the artist is Jonas Acosta. He used to do portraits. He's never done any comics paid jobs before, so this is his first time. I also have a co-writer, Jessica Literal, that actually we role played this story together. This wasn't a planned thing. It was just, I role played as Claire Redfield from Resident Evil for 15 years, and I held on to the story for 11 years, and I'd asked her if she wanted it the day after I met her. And she's like, I never take roles, but yeah, I want it. So we started writing. And in about 2 years, we had the 11 novels written without even thinking about it. We're still writing. I just sent her 15,000 word chapter 2 days ago. and we just hit 1 million words written in this story. So this series Redemption is 5 novels. Each book is about 7 to 15. So book 1 is 7 issues, book 2 is 7 issues, book 3 is 10, and then the last 2 are between 10 and 15. So we have a lot written already. And we already started series 2. So we're like 7 issues into it or something. So but yeah, we love the story. Like I said, it wasn't intentional. We just role played it, loved it, thought it was too good of a story to waste, and we really wanted to see it, drawn out. So here we are.
Well, that was going to be my next question. I'm always really curious how people get into comics, just in general, just like as a fan or a reader, but then specifically how you got into doing it as a creator. So what was your comic journey?
So I first got into comics in the 90s with my older brother was obsessed with it. I don't actually know how he got into it, to be honest with you, but he dragged me, as an older brother normally wouldn't do, drags his little sister to the comic book store, and I fell absolutely in love with Ghost Rider, the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider. I think I found it when it was on issue 7, and I just went, I loved it. I got all into that, into Spirits of Vengeance and all the crossovers. And the only other thing I really read was anything with Dick Grayson. I love the Titans and all that. My brother was into like Marvel and all DC and like X-Men and X-Factor, like all that. But those are the only ones I really kind of read. And I haven't read them much since the 90s. I pulled it out. I have the box with all my 90s stuff in it. But how I got specifically into making these, after we role played it, we can't really release it as novels because we wrote them in role playing format, and we had talked to an editor, and they said you'd have to like pretty much merge the entire story, which we didn't want to do. So we rather make no money on it than ruin the story. So we decided to release it for ourselves. And I said, you know what? Let's go all out. I'll go on Upwork and I'll get an artist to make a cover for us just for fun, and we'll print it at like lulus.com. We'll have our own little novels and all this stuff. And when I was looking for when I was looking for an artist for it, which was not, I didn't find Jonas, but I was searching for an artist, and I told her that they were all kind of cartoony because we're role players, so we had like actors in mind when we were like role playing it. And I said, do you mind cartoony? Do you want me to keep looking for realistic? She's like, well, cartoony's fine. And I said, and like a light bulb went off, and I was like, well, if you don't mind cartoony, we can do a comic book. And she's like, okay. So kind of just jumped into it, hired an artist who did wind up screwing me over. I lost like $5,000. He stole 3, and then I tried to fix it for 2, and everyone said, oh, it's good. You can leave it alone and blah, blah, blah. But after I found my artist and he did 2 and 3, I was like, no, you have to go back and do 1. He made the characters look exactly how I pictured them in the head, and he's so good with panel work, and he's just remarkable. I'm very lucky to have him. He's not just a paid artist; he's very much part of the team. And I mean, he went away for 30 days, and 2 weeks in, he's like, I miss drawing the story. Like, I can't wait to get back to it. And I was like, yeah, we're having withdrawals from the pages. We need pages. But yeah, we've been obsessed with it ever since. And the more we see the page wise, the more we want. So it's not my wallet isn't happy that we're so fast, but I am thrilled that we actually get to do this fast. And it's a weird genre. I mean, it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets Supernatural in Silent Hill and the Resident Evil world. But it's kind of like a survival adventure story. You have the supernatural aspects of the angels and demons, like messing around with them. Seraphina, the angel, was made from an angelic weapon. She doesn't know she's made from it, but we kind of do. And their fathers are manipulating everything around them to kind of screw with them to get this weapon from her. And that's kind of what they're trying to survive against their fathers without even knowing what they're trying to survive against, which is really cool. And the first arc is pretty much them trying to get out of the town. They fight the vampires and all that stuff. And then book 2 is them trapped in a haunted asylum trying to get out of there. And they're trapped with zombies and giant salamanders and ghosts and all this stuff. And then 3 is issues 15 and on, and it's them like Resident Evil trapped in this zombie infested town, finding other survivors and trying to get out of that. So they're always trying to get out of something. But we torture our characters, so it's all right. Yeah.
So I'm curious. Now you've kickstarted the first 4 issues, right? And you're going. And this is to be the 5th one on Kickstarter. I'm just curious what your experience has been like on Kickstarter, and just your experience as someone that's new in the comic creating field. What it's been like to sort of join this indie Kickstarter comics community. Like, what's all that been like for you?
I hate and love Kickstarter all at the same time. I find that Kickstarter is very good at bringing in people. It's very good at sharing and all that stuff. People know Kickstarter, so it's a little bit easier. However, there's one thing that I hate above all else. And yeah, it kind of sucks that people can back out at any time. But what I hate the most is they don't take payment until the end. And so when it closes, you don't even know if you actually succeeded. Like my first campaign was issues 1 through 3. We did them all 3 together. And I had someone buy all the one of a kind things that equaled $400. And no one else could buy them. And then at the end, the payment didn't go through, and that's it. I lost $400 and had to, And then the second campaign, $300 item, rare, only one in the whole campaign. And then he bought it and the payment didn't go through. So it's not only that you have people backing out all the time or lowering it. I had one person back it, then back out of it, 5 days later, back it again, and then back out of it. Like, I was like, it's a 3-week campaign. What are you doing? So stuff like that is very, very frustrating, but the site is very easy to use. I like how they added pictures. I like the pictures. I like the add-ons, which before my time, which I don't know how before, but I remember the pictures coming in like 2 months ago, but they used to not have add-ons, and now they have add-ons. So they have all these cool features. So I like it. It's very easy to organize and all that stuff. I just hate the fact that they don't take payments to the end. So if you close like right on the funded amount, and let's say I funded at 1,000 and I closed out at 1,000. If that $300 didn't go through, I actually wouldn't get any of the money because you didn't fund. Even though you funded when the time ran out, you lost that 300 and they don't count it until the payments come through. So it's kind of, that really bothers me, that people can actually fail after the campaign because you work so hard to get that number up, and then to have it all, at the end, you have no idea. So that part I don't like. And there's a couple other sites. They're all kind of like that, except for a couple of new ones. And I'm waiting for those to kind of get out there and get more popular so that they're, can bring in more people. But Indigo is the same way, I think, except for you don't have to fund to get it. And but I don't like the site as much. I know people that have success and I know people that haven't. And about Indigo, I do like their pre-launch page better, because yes and no, actually. I like the pre-launch that they show you more, because I don't know if you've seen Kickstarter pages. Their pre-launch is just one picture and like 2 sentences. That's all you can put on there. But I do like that it tells you how many people are pre-launching. And with Indigo, you can have a video, you can have whatever, but you can't really see anyone that's following. So that's a little frustrating too. So they all have their positive and negatives. The reason why I stuck with Kickstarter is I have a lot of clients from my day business that they're backing me because I talk nonstop about it. And they kind of just like, oh, let me try it. And now they don't read comics and they love it. And it took them a while to set up the Kickstarter, which is super easy to set up for a backer. All you have to do is put your email, and then you're good to go. So for that experience, I like it, but it's just so frustrating. It's stressful. The whole time you're like, how many people are going to back out? I've had people back out 2 days before it ends, like 10 people just back up, and then you get 10 joining back up. So it's a roller coaster ride of emotions.
Yeah, it can be real stressful. And it seems in my experience that kind of behavior is happening more than it used to. So I've been doing Kickstarters for 4.5 years, I guess. And this last one I just finished a couple weeks ago was definitely the most volatile. I had one guy that backed me 3 different times and canceled each time, and it came in at a really high amount too.
Yep. Yep. Those
And
are the worst.
adjusted the pledges up and down in between canceling them.
Yep.
And that was just one person. You know, I had someone come in for like a ridiculous amount. Like the highest tier that I had on my campaign was 159. I had someone that came in and backed me at 550 and then sent a message basically saying, "Oh, I can't figure out, I can't get any of the rewards. Is there any way you can give me the rewards like outside of the campaign?" And when I said no, they of course canceled the pledge. I actually had to contact Kickstarter to have them removed because they were clearly scamming. So that sort of thing I didn't have any trouble with the first couple years, but it's been getting a lot more.
Yeah. Well, what's awful about it is I've done 2 major Kickstarters and they both had extremely the same issues in a really weird way. They both have one large pledge. The first one was 400 and the second one was 300 that payments didn't go through. Both had non-payments, and this last one was the worst. I had one person that did 130 and then said, "Oh, I added extra so that you can reach over your goal and blah blah." But then, like you said, 3 times during the campaign he lowered it, so it went from 130 to like 100 to like 75 and then like 15. And then another person, this one's really weird. So they pledged $50, but didn't ask for any backing. I don't have no idea who this person is. And then they fought it on their credit card. Like they didn't ask me to refund it. They didn't message me anything about it. They just contested it on and then a month later, which was like the day the day my campaign went live for this one, they took it out of my credit card. So it was really weird. I don't know what he said, if he's claiming somebody stole his credit card and gifted me $50. It was just really weird. But yeah, I had a lot of people back out and back in and out. And I had one person that did report, like the one that backed in and out. They were doing something really weird because they were backing so many of them on Twitter. And then they will tweet that I backed this one, but then they'd get out of it. So she did it to a friend of mine who had the same campaign. I said, "She's on your campaign. Did she do it to you?" And he said, "Not yet." And then right before it ended, she did it to him. So I actually wound up reporting her to Kickstarter. I'm like, this person's been doing it nonstop. It's very frustrating. So they said that they did kick her off. I don't know if they really did, but they said they did kick her off. So I don't think backers realize how detrimental it is to just bid something and then change it, or back out or not pay. It's very frustrating. And that's why I don't like that Kickstarter is so lax about it. It should be that they take the funds out of the way, because it says back it if you believe in it. But all these people, they don't really believe in it if they're just backing in and out of it like it's a revolving door. So it's very frustrating. It's very stressful.
Yeah. I was curious about your creative process in terms of what it was like taking the books that you had written and sort of turning them into comic scripts. Like, was that difficult, or was it like, how did that process work for you?
So when I first hired the artist, I did not even think about needing scripts. And then they're like, "Oh, did you have scripts?" And I was like, "Huh, no." So I went to bed that very night that we had agreed on this. And I texted my co-writer and I was like, "I don't know how to do scripts." She's like, "You'll figure it out." So I woke up in the morning, I watched like a 20-minute YouTube video and I was like, "All right, let's do this." So I wrote, I think it took me 2 days, 3 days. I wrote out a script and I handed it to a letterer, and the letterer is like, "Did you want to see any of the art, or did you just want dialogue?" And I was like, "Oh, right. That matters." So I had to go back and turn I think after 4 times of doing it, that one script wound up being 3. So it was issues 1 through 3 by the time I expanded the panels and did all that stuff. So I would say the hardest part is the dialogue for us, because we just wrote whatever you want. And I will say, because it's kind of unique with our story, because it was role playing, they're 2 completely different people writing the 2 completely different main characters. So I write everything Serafina, all her actions and thoughts and speech is written by me, whereas Jessica will write everything Draven. So you could tell the two different personalities because we are two different personalities. My character talks way more than she thinks, which is very accurate. And hers is Draven. He's an assassin, so he mostly thinks internally. He has a lot of internal struggles. He knows he shouldn't be near her. It's dangerous for her. He's a killer. He feels like he's not worthy of being around her. So he has all this internal struggle, and that was my favorite part about novels, is getting inside the character's head. So I wanted to bring that into the comic. So we do have a lot more thought bubbles than most comic books would have, which so far people seems to really enjoy because they get that novel feeling with great art. So it wound up being really good. So I would say that was originally the hardest part. As far as converting it, the way I write, my writing, I'm an amazing storyteller. I'm dyslexic and I don't write like a normal novelist. I don't think I could have ever released my half as a novel anyway. Hers, yeah, she's an amazing writer. But with me, I kind of, you're supposed to show, don't tell, but all I do is I tell the story. So when it came to converting the scripts, it was so much, it was like it was meant to be a comic book because it was pretty much just where you are and what you're doing and what's in the room. So it wound up being perfectly written for a comic book, like it was supposed to be the entire time. So it worked out really, really well. And it made it a lot easier to convert it. So I've actually really enjoyed it so far. But I mean, it's exhausting, but it's still a lot more fun than than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm curious just to go a little deeper into your co-writing process. Now, do you like work out the plot in advance and then you write your part while your partner's writing the other character's part, or do you write a bit and send it to them and then they write like a response to that, or is that like how did that all go?
So I'm the storyteller. So I'll tell what happened. So I started the whole story, and what I do is I tell what they're doing the entire time. I don't move her character or speak for her character, but I'll be like, they're in a room doing this, she's doing this. And then she won't even know what I'm writing until she'll get it. So I write an entire chapter and then I send it to her. She goes back to the beginning of the chapter and she will write the whole entire chapter again in her character's perspective. So he'll answer anything my character said to him. He'll be thinking about what's going on and what he thinks about her and the situation as going, and then she will add on any fights or actions that she does while she does it. So you've got these two completely different perspectives, which is why it really couldn't have been a novel, because you pretty much have two chapters for each chapter, and the only way to get the entire story is to read two chapters, which to us is great because I love reading her writing and she loves reading my writing. We don't like to read our own writing. But we love each other's writing, which I guess is better than the other way around for us. So yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. I'll tell the story and she'll write her reaction to it. So, which I love.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Now you mentioned you have a couple other series that you're working on, and I apologize if you said this earlier. Are those going to be featuring the same characters or different characters, same world, or how is that going to all
So
work?
it actually is the same characters, but it's okay. So the Salvation is them. The beginning of the story, it shows how they got separated when they were teenagers. They met up and they fell instantly in love with each other, and they were going to run away together because they had really tough situation. So they're going to run away together, but her brother became possessed by a demon on the night they were going to run away together, and he killed their parents and attacked her. She called him up, Draven, and said, "Don't come to the house that her brother's trying to kill her." And of course, the first thing he does is come straight to the house. So he comes in the front door. She goes out the back window. He calls her name, and she turns around to go back, and she gets hit by a car and critically wounded and gets driven to wherever. And he gets arrested for her murder as he's in this house covered in blood. So for 10 years, they both thought that her brother killed the other one. So for 10 years, they thought they were dead. She became a supernatural hunter as she was trying to get revenge for him being taken away, and he became an assassin. Instead of going to jail, they offered him this training or whatever. So it wasn't until these 10 years went by when he came too close to where she was, and it sent an alert to demons and angels that they were near each other, and this is how they found them. So that's where it starts, is the 10-year mark. So for the spinoff, it's a what if they actually got to run away that day and the parents were never murdered. They just kind of ran away. So there's a one tiny bit of difference that happens right before that. And that is what changes the entire existence for them. So now in the What If series, they're two teenagers with no training, no jobs, no life experience whatsoever. She's not trained as an assassin. He's not trained as an assassin. She has no idea that anything supernatural even exists. And so they're on the run while they're trying to deal with this. So you get the same kind of plot in an entirely different way. Nothing repeats, though some things mirror. Though it's kind of funny how it worked, because some of the characters that were friends with them in Redemption or enemies with them in Redemption were the opposite in the spinoff because of the situation that led them there. So you have this entirely different mirrored universe. And then Damnation, which is the prequel, is how the weapon was created and how their fathers came about it, how Serafina was created and how Draven was created to get the weapon from her, but instead he fell in love with her as kids, and then their lives kind of went from there. So it's like the a whole prequel origin story, you can say. But yeah, they're always the same characters. We're completely obsessed with our own characters, so it'll never have anyone but our two main characters in it.
Now, are you going to be putting these? Are these going to be coming out? You're going to finish one series and then do another, or are you going to have them coming out concurrently? Like you'll have issues from all the different series coming out.
So we would like to release. My artist is upset that he can't do the spinoff. He's like, why can't I do the spinoff? I was like, because there's 45 issues and we're already writing series 2. So by the time you're done, we'll have series 2. So we're probably going to have him do Redemption, and then if it becomes popular enough and we think that it'll be worth it, we're going to start releasing the spinoff. We'll have to find another artist, which sucks because we absolutely love our artist. But if anything, he'd probably do the spinoff. The prequel. So either way, I mean, unless he clones himself twice, we probably will need to get another artist. We had thought about the fact that he's so fast, he probably could release one, every other month, but eventually he's going to get more work. So it's better that he just sticks to Redemption and stays with that. It's harsh because he's so amazing with it. It's hard to, I don't want to go through the whole finding process, but, eventually we'll go searching for somebody for it, but we'll be really picky.
Okay, great. Well, I don't have any more questions, but is there anything else that you wanted to tell the audience or tell readers or anything about your work or about the series?
So pretty much anyone that's as long as you don't mind cursing, we curse a lot. And my mom's review was, I finally read your story, and besides all the swear words, it was pretty good. So we swear a lot. There's gore. There's no nudity. I've had a lot of parents come up and say, what's the age limit to this? And I was like, well, they curse a lot and it's gore. They're like, we don't care about that. I was like, no, there's no nudity. It's stuff like that. But there are a couple of things that are cool add-ons that we have right now. Like we have an add-on that you can be drawn in as a zombie for issue 8. And you can pick your demise and clothes you want to wear and all that stuff. We have plushies and handmade statues, 3D printed statues, shirts, hoodies, all that fun stuff. So we have a lot of merch. Mostly because we wanted it and it made it tax deductible selling it. So that's why there's so much. But the easiest way to find us is if you go to Kickstarter and just search Worthy Chaos. I mean, I know you're going to post a link, but if anyone wants to find it, all you do is search Worthy Chaos and we're the only thing that pops up. We also on Twitter at Worthy_Chaos, where we have about 5.2 thousand followers. And we tweet a lot out. We also have a Facebook group that we just started 4 weeks ago. So we only have about 600 members, but we post pictures, pages, covers, art, rewards, all that kind of stuff, updates. So all you have to do is search Worthy Chaos on Facebook. So those are probably the main. Just search Worthy Chaos everywhere. We'll pop up somewhere. So, but yeah, we're until July 17th. And then, like I said, the next one's August 15th and then October 3rd. And then our book 2 will start January 23rd. So,
Okay, great. Well, I'll have all the links down below to everything,
perfect.
so people can check it out. And thanks very much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me on. It was great.
Sure, my pleasure.